Good evening. How's everybody doing? We're coming up on another weekend. This weekend's a little bit different than some of the other weekends that we've had. Um, Memorial Day. You know, when most of us think of Memorial Day, we think of military, right? We think of our nation's fallen. Because what is that day founded on? Our nation's fallen, right? Like so your grandpa or your great grandpa or an uncle or whatever who fought, you go put a flower on his grave and you put a flag next to his grave and you would honor his sacrifice. But I don't think it should just go to that level. I think it should go even further than that because we have 250 years of history here. This country, the United States, has only been a legitimate country for 250 years. But look at all the history and look at all the stuff that this country has gone through to be a country of itself. It's only been around for 250 years. It just hit its 250th birthday here back, I think it was last July. I think this year it'd be 251. Being in the service, right? This is stuff I should know. Right? All of us as Americans, we all should know this stuff. If you don't, you can learn it. Right? There's a lot of ways of I'm sure if you go to your local library and you sit in there with a good historical book, I'm sure you'll learn all kinds of interesting and maybe potentially fascinating things that maybe you didn't know. Me, I'm a sucker for good reading, right? So if I happen to wander my happy self into a library, you bet yourself I'm gonna sit down with a good book and read it from front to back. No, I don't go online to read my books, right? I actually physically go and pick up book up and read it that way. The whole reading a book online or having it read to you. Anyways, right? It's the world we live in today, but it's the world that we don't have to live in. But uh but Memorial Day. It's a day that we should sit down with friends, family. Yes, have a grill out. Yes, have food, games, right? We should all sit down and we should honor not just the fallen of our nation, but pretty much the history of the nation that we live in, our home. And for all you folks that are around the world that are seeing this, hey, look at the histories of your guys' countries, right? We've had two, possibly three world wars, right? Look at what's going on over in Europe right now, and it has been going on for the last couple of years that I know of, right? Got the stuff over in Iran. We took we took care of Venezuela here recently. So think about what's going to happen in that country now that it's out of the regime that it was under. See, every nation in the world has some kind of history. Now there's probably a couple where it probably doesn't have a whole lot, like right, like Antarctica. I mean, it, that's mostly snow down there, so its history is snow and cold. So, but Greenland, right? Once again, that's kind of a nation of cold and ice. There's really nothing much there. Um, but besides a couple, anywhere else you go in the world, there's some history there. Whether it be from World War II or whether it be from World War One or some civil unrest that happened in that area. The Middle East has been more or less under a civil war for thousands of years, and they still haven't got it accomplished yet. That's why we're over there now to get it to get it taken care of again. For how many times over the last 30 years have we been over there? But Memorial Day, that's what this is about. This is where we sit down and we remember our nation. Not just our fallen, but the nation itself. And wherever you are too, your nation, your nation's history, right? We go back to the Remember When post that I made here not too long ago. This would be a perfect weekend to have some reflection, as long as eating with friends and family and sitting down and talking and catching up if you haven't seen them for a while, whatever. But this day shouldn't just be about remembering the dead. It should be about remembering the whole broad scale. Because I can sit and I can have an absolute conversation with anybody that I come in contact with. And I'm gonna boast here for a minute because I've got a knack for being able to talk about any subject that anybody can come up with. Why? Because hey, conversation, being able to relate with people, right? And whatever they want to come up with, I will let them pick the topic first. Especially, it's great, especially having a conversation with an older person, right? Like they can come up with some pretty freaking awesome stories. It's it's refreshing to hear older people when they talk. It gives you a chance to get away from all this modern crap that we're hearing about, right? All this stuff that just nonsense. But and actually sit down and actually have an actual conversation with somebody about what happened during the Great Depression, right? How things were back then. And believe it or not, we're kind of staring down that barrel again. But in case we're not paying attention, we're real close there. But remembrance. My good folks, I will wish you a good night. Sending lots of love. Until next time.